All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Point Three podcast. We have a duo of the trio here tonight to talk about two huge things: the premiere of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus, and then we are going to be deep diving some Red Hulk comic history and giving you our thoughts on the Red Hulk before Brave New World Captain America 4 comes out in 2 weeks? About 2 weeks now?
It's just about
About 2 weeks?
2 weeks from today, yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy to think
yeah.
about.
So
Or not today, but technically tomorrow, Thursday, whatever.
it depends on where you're watching. So it could be
True.
tomorrow already. Could be tomorrow. We've had some
True.
London, UK, I don't know, Asia, all over the place. Tons of MCU, Marvel, superhero fans. So we appreciate you joining the Point Three podcast for this live stream. If you guys love what we're talking about here as you're following along in the conversations, feel free to give this video a like. Come back every single Wednesday at 9:05 to 9:15 Eastern, depending on how we're feeling. Just kidding. But next week, Hero Scroll will be back with us, so we'll get into it. But we haven't done this in a while, Spider Brando. It's time for our first keep watching, keep reading, keep nerding out. Putting us on the spot here, I'm going to kick it over to you. What is your keep watching right now?
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Oh, right there. Episodes 1 and 2 came out today on Disney Plus. I watched episode 1 and got halfway through episode 2. But I love the show. I can't lie. I'm like an episode and a half in and I just feel hooked into it.
Yeah.
And just leading up into it, I wasn't really like feeling that I would be this excited over it. But now that it's here and now that I'm seeing it, what's up, Hero? What's up, the Whip? Nate, how are you doing? What's up, Dylan? But yeah, like Dylan just said, can't believe it's better than expected. And I enjoy it. It's got a lot of cool tropes from prior Spider-Man projects. I swear that I saw the dual flip dude from Tom's trilogy. I swear I saw him as a character for just 30 second. No pun intended.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
But yeah, I really like the show. So I'm going with that for my keep watching because I have to keep watching episode 2.
Would this qualify as your keep nerding out?
I would say so too, because I've been even in our Discord, I was doing some quick thoughts in there.
Yeah.
And I was kind of nerding out because some of the dialogue reminded me of the Amazing Spider-Man dialogue. And I'm like, wow, they're really honoring like every Spider-Man media in here.
Yeah. I mean, we're gonna touch on more in just a second. So all of you in the chat, again, we appreciate you joining us here on the live stream for the Point Three podcast. But drop your initial thoughts in the chat. We'll share it. We'll talk about it. Kind of, is this show kind of what you were expecting? Did it exceed your expectations? Is it under expectations? Let us know. We'll jump into it here. I'm just gonna finish this off with a keep reading. Which does tie into this. We're keeping the reading going for Brave New World. Read some Cap last week, so for those of you who've been kind of on this journey as we've led up to Cap 4, Brave New World. We read some, did some backgrounds on some Cap. Read some Red Hulk. Shout out to Red Hulk being in this movie. If you've been under a rock, you probably flipped it over on your head because he's everywhere in between the trailer spots. Like the amount of product commercials for this movie is wild, and the Tide one gets me every time. But lots of reading for Brave New World as we kind of have 2 weeks left. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get back into Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man reaction, and this is really a good start. Bonnie Lincoln, Dill, throw in the chat kind of what made you feel a little bit different about Lonnie. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Lonnie Lincoln is Tombstone in the comics, a villain of Spider-Man. There were some interesting things in this show. I had super low expectations, personally. I think if you guys have been following along, like how I felt about X-Men 97 is how I feel like a lot of Spidey fans feel about this. I geek more for the X-Men and mutants than I do for Spider-Man specifically. Um, but animation aside, I was surprised how likable Peter was, especially knowing that it's an origin. And I think they've done some interesting things. Spider-Man, no, were you surprised that they did kind of an origin with some nods to the history of the Spider-Man character with some MCU tie-ins to like Homecoming and what you've kind of mentioned that I think Nate kind of confirmed, but um kind of talk to us a little bit about, what really did kind of surprise you or like pleasantly surprise you, I guess, about the show then.
Um, I think the animation. I was skeptical, um, about how the animation would be. Essentially, like it felt weird going from all the cuts that it had in the trailer
Mhm.
to like get a feel for it. But I think it was. I think it's portrayed very well, and as you're watching like the origin kind of play out, it feels like it's like kind of like straight from the comic books with the way they
Yeah.
panel the borders together in between like scene transitions. Feels
Mhm.
like you're flipping the pages. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool. But
That is,
as for the
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That real quick for me is a pro and a con because I'm watching a lot of like personally, I'm watching a lot of great animation and watching this like it's not like going and watching something that's subtitled and it takes you a second. Like there are just certain preferences that I don't care for with the show so
Mhm.
far. I will say the one thing that I think distracted me from the animation was the soundtrack. I really
I like the
enjoyed the soundtrack.
soundtrack. It's a great lo-fi vibe to it. I
Yes.
really like
Yes.
that.
Very vibey.
I really like that. I like the intro too. They came out with the opening song a couple weeks ago,
Yes.
and I thought that was pretty cool to pay homage to the classic theme song with a modern kind of like rap of just Spider-Man quips over it.
Mhm.
But
Before we jump into the first question that Dill put into the chat, does this show feel like it's like a low stakes, just easy watch?
yes, and I think that's also another reason why I got hooked into it because they didn't really show the. Is it a spoiler if I say? I don't know.
I mean, I guess we'll throw a spoiler warning out here. I mean,
They don't show the Uncle Ben
spoiler.
deaths.
Yeah, yeah, no.
I guess that's
Listen,
not really a spoiler.
we're talking about
The
episode
MCU
one.
didn't have it.
We're talking about one episode.
Yeah, like, the MCU didn't show it, so
Yeah.
they don't show it in here, but they do have a really good scene with him talking about it with May, and I thought that was cool and reminded me of Homecoming, like you brought up earlier. When Tom's Peter kind of had that talk with his May
Yeah.
about Ben. Uh I really enjoyed the show. It's such a different take on how he got bit from the spider too, and that was
Yeah.
really cool.
It
I
was
thought that
cool.
was
Yeah.
like,
When the portal
okay.
opened up, I was like, yo, let's jump through. We got to catch the point. Shout out Marvel
Mhm.
Rivals. But um seeing that kind of alien symbiote come down, I think was kind of cool. Here's one thing before we get into the first question. Did it bother any of you? And maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm an island. But did it bother you guys that this almost feels like Marvel Studios or Marvel Animation, whatever you want to call it, is trying to fill in gaps for their MCU Spider-Man, even though this is essentially a multiversal story? Like it feels kind of like not like a cop out, but it feels a little cheap in a way to me.
I remember I was watching it and I had a thought and I'm like, they're doing a lot of fill-ins here, and this could be where they do fill in the gaps, but I think it kind of like you could tell that they still kept some elements from when it was supposed to be like freshman year. And
Yeah,
I think that's why it feels weird.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
Of
Fair
how
enough.
it was like it was supposed to fill in the gaps, but they kind of took it a different direction. So it
Yeah.
feels weird, but I think as the story progresses and we open more and more into it,
Hmm.
um I think those feelings would subside a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, they put all those references and stuff in episode 1 and 2 just to, like, hook people in.
Yeah. The hard part about this though is the showrunner, and forgive me, I can't think of his name. I'll have to pull it up. I was looking at the comments, in preparation for this discussion, and I found it very interesting that he's talking about world building and like hopefully the show continues on and this is going to
Oh,
be its own kind of universe and all those types of things. And like I'm like, but we have an MCU. Like it just feels like an odd choice in thinking like they have character restraints, right? He had mentioned like, oh, I have character restraints, so I don't know who I can use. And it's like you can use anybody. Like there are no restraints in the animated world for Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, you want Charlie Cox's Daredevil, like go for it. You can have it. And for me, I'm like, it feels odd and cheap in the sense of it's your own world and you can build it, but at the same time you're trying to like, I feel like they're playing with MCU fans of like, hey, you never got an origin for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. You just kind of jumped into, Tony Stark is here, he's your mentor, blah 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 blah. And like we didn't get that. But at the time, John Watts is like, we don't need it. We've seen a Spider-Man origin how many times? Like, let's move on. So it's just
Gunn
interesting.
is saying that with Batman and Superman now too.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. So, any thoughts on that, Spider Brando? We'll pull up a couple comments here and kind of jump into the chat.
Well, we do know that the show is confirmed. Season 2 is in production already, and season 3 just got greenlit the other day.
Yeah,
So it does have some legs to it for like
yeah,
a 3-season story.
yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying. And what Hero says. Um I think they're gonna shy away from the MCU references the more we go on to it.
Even though we know that Civil War moment's coming up, or at least to be seen, that Civil War moment is looming,
Yeah, I mean
and the thought of
they're
the
always gonna
Avengers.
be there. It's always gonna be there, but
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know. I as long as they make it different
yeah,
enough than what the MCU was, because I mean the multiverse, most of these universes are just like slightly different MCUs. So being able to take this journey through one is pretty cool.
yeah. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. First question we got here from Nate over at Thwip Media, good friend of the channel. Spider Brando, which villain are you most excited to see come into the show?
Like that we know of, or just to like
Which
predict.
villain? Yeah, yeah. Anyone? Who are you
I don't
excited for?
even. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know like what villains are supposed to expect in the show, but Doc Ock would be cool. Obviously, I think seeing him or her, depending on what they do, would be
Uh-huh.
a cool. The legs would be really cool in that animation style. The way
Uh-huh.
they'd have the Doc Ock character move and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that'd be interesting. I do have to kind of go back to Norman. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was rivaling while I watched the first episode because I was like, no, I'll listen to it. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I heard what's his name? Domingo Coleman. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Coleman
Coleman
Domingo.
Domingo.
Yeah, Coleman Domingo. And I was like, yo, is this Willem Dafoe? Like, yeah. I
Really?
wasn't expecting the voice to sound as close
It
to
does.
Dafoe as it
It
did.
does sound pretty damn good. It truly does.
It did. It did. I was pleasantly surprised, and I don't know if that's just because I am a huge, Willem Dafoe fan, and that Green Goblin I think is goated. But yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun. Nate out here, Doc Ock's going to be in it. Looking forward to him and Chameleon. Ooh, Chameleon.
I was gonna say Chameleon earlier, but I was like, he Craven's tarnished him too much still.
Is this going to be the Sony Chameleon?
Oh god, that we see for like half a second.
Yeah. You hear Strange in the Mouth. I'm opening a portal. I'm like, oh shoot, right to Sony. Right to Sony.
We're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, yeah. I saw someone say this is kind of a bonus piece. But oh no, we're joking. I mean, if there's like a -% chance that would be anything close to Craven. Chad, you're blowing it up right
ATG
now with
comes
this.
out, episode 4, we're gonna
That would be. Watch out for all your pencils and pens. Those are just dangerous weapons in high school for him. It's over. Interesting thought here. Saw some people, so they were mentioning like they're in Queens. Although this is world building, it's going to be heavily focused in New York. Spider-Man, I can't pull back the keep watching, keep reading, nerding out banner if you can. But interesting thoughts here with the focus being in New York and kind of the wide variety of characters, Daredevil being one. Do you think that we're going to see what other heroes do you think? Are we going to get the Defenders? Are we going to get a Luke Cage? I've been seeing some stuff online, people saying that we're going to put Jessica Jones as a character instead of Nico. Well, what are some thoughts there for you? Would you want to see any of them, knowing that we're getting, hopefully MCU proper, Daredevil, Netflix, Defenders-ish characters?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be opposed to it. I think I would like to see they make Avengers Tower pretty prominent in the background.
I did see that, yeah.
And they make like Nate just brought up they teased an Iron Man cameo a little bit with episode 1 with the Iron Man car
the rearview mirror. Yeah.
In the rearview mirror. And I was like, oh, there we go, making it all about Iron Man again. But I could see I could see Spider-Man coming across the Avengers and them being like stay down, kid, or something like that, to kind of like what Iron Man did to him in Homecoming, but just with like the whole Avengers this time.
Yeah,
I think that would be pretty cool, just to show like the world building a little bit.
Yeah.
As never as this would happen, I would really love to see Deadpool in this. It's not gonna happen whatsoever, but just like seeing like a PG Deadpool in like this show, I feel like it would just be hilarious.
That
But
actually
it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that would be. It's interesting to see like once he gets into his superheroing, what that looks like. Because my thought before going into this is, if this does deviate and we're going to get a Civil War like moment in here, but Norman is his mentor, I do think it's along those lines of like not today junior type of thing, like not Iron Boy Jr., but it's just like you're not ready for the big leagues, and you have someone like Norman who figures his identity out, or I could totally see something like that happen, like him kind of teaching him a different way to try and be a hero, but more of an individual on his own. I don't know. We'll see, but let's get some comments going here.
Thoughts
Nate?
on the Doctor Strange theme working its way in his entrance. I honestly didn't notice that. I can't lie. I did not pick up on it. Did you notice it?
I didn't. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the green portal open, I instantly went to Rivals and got super distracted, just like going through all the alts in my head for a second. And then when the alien symbiote showed up, it like snapped me back. It did remind me though. What was it? An Invincible with the dog? What was his name when he showed up in his dorm room?
Shit, I forgot. I know what you're talking about.
I kept thinking of that too when Strange showed up, and we got like more of an accurate look with the costume and everything. It was funny. It's funny. And Nate, you're 101, man. Nothing gets past you. Nothing gets past you. But we got a comment from one of our 0.3 hosts who's a little, he's a little under the weather, so he didn't want to get you guys sick just by looking at him. So he just, executive decision, get out. No, no, no. Hero will be back. He's just a little under the weather. Like I've been sick for what, the last month, which is ridiculous.
I feel like it's starting
Heroes,
to come my way too now.
I did, and just blew it that way, and it's just right up the coast. But Hero Scrolls saying, I think we get a younger teenage hero. That's the way to intro those characters from the MCU. It doesn't feel jarring to the audience. Big facts, especially tying that in. Yeah, especially tying that in with like kind of like that lo-fi, like low stakes feel, where it's just like, here you go. I do like that. I do like that. How many seasons of the show are we getting?
3 guaranteed.
Is it?
Yeah, I just said that earlier.
I thought you said 2.
No, see, it's season 3 just got greenlit and announced.
Wow.
Season 2's been in like development, but season 3 just got like officially like announced.
Three. All right, I'm just gonna relinquish my title as a co-host and just take a seat. just shut my yapper. Dill's got a question here, wondering if Strange is part of the universe or wherever the symbiote spider came from. Thoughts, theories? What do we think?
Definitely not from our universe, because I remember when the trailer came out and like for getting some SDCC, or was it D23? I think it was D23.
Not CinemaCon?
Comments. No, because no one cares about CinemaCon. It's not for the public.
That's right.
Never gonna get over that still. Nope. But I lost my train of thought now. No, they said when the show was coming out that the symbiote, a Strange and a symbiote came from a different like universe or like dimension thing. And especially with him saying, I'm not like, we're not supposed to be here. And he kind of made it seem like he wasn't like in that universe at all. Like the way he looked at the school or time period. So it's interesting.
This
The
is
leftover symbiote from the end of No Way Home.
This is going to be the one that saves Tom when he gets the old KO shot from Doom. That's it.
I would hate that. I can't. I'm all for like I want this show to be like its own thing. I don't want it to relate to that. Having MCU references, I'm completely fine with, because that's like the core of what it's stemming from. But I want it to be its own thing, essentially, like Elseworlds type. Like X-Men 97 is its own thing. Just let it be its own thing.
Okay. You mean you don't want the MCU to say this should be the Spider-Man after Tom Holland decides to retire? They'd be like, this is going to be the main MCU Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. All right. Here's a question for USB and a question for the chat. Essentially, do we think that there's any world in the vast multiverse that is Marvel currently that we get a crossover with either What If or in a cross beyond Sony animated Spider-Verse?
I don't think across or beyond Spider-Verse. I feel like that's too many. I don't think Disney or Sony would go through that trouble. And
I just have to ask. Would you want it? Would you want it, is what I should have said.
I would, I think. It's just like a nice... Actually, I don't know. If it's like a quick little... Yeah, like Nate said. It would be really hard to pull off. If it like just came into be where he randomly just like sees different universes and it's like a quick 2-second thing where they just look at each other through like a portal or something. Like, cool, but even then, I don't even know how to justify that in the show right now. Besides, kind of like Strange involving Strange.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They got 3 seasons to send this shit out. So
that's true. We'll have mutants by then. Dylan saying, what if that symbiote had an alternate Peter Parker as its host? The web of life and destiny will tell us one day.
That'd be cool. They did talk. Someone did talk about Destiny in this show. I heard Destiny come up like twice,
Yeah.
staring at each other through a portal like they just like did. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we need to bring the Snyderverse back so we can see what really happened after that. Just kidding. Just
You're
kidding.
gonna
My shots,
cancel us. I'm kidding.
bro. It's a different
Oh.
live stream for a different time. Dylan saying let the show be its own thing. Don't connect to other existing projects until later seasons. I agree with that. And shout out to Shawarma as well.
Dude,
Yeah, go ahead.
I miss shawarma. Oh wait, no, he's just saying he's just replying to that to the dark side thing. I rescind my comment.
That's fine. That's fine. You know, I'll add this comment. Overall, I really like the show, but I have to admit I did like Peter, but the vibes of the show that were kind of described in the beginning, I do align with Nico Minoru, from the Runaways. For those that don't know, what'd you think of Nico?
I thought she was a cool character. I don't know much about her in general, like comic history at all or counterpart, but it's cool to see him have like a different friend that's not Ned or Harry, but then we also get like a Harry in this. She seems pretty cool.
Yeah. No, she does. She does seem cool. Feeling like she fits the vibes.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of like I don't know. She kind of reminds me of like Gwen
MJ.
a little bit.
Gwen,
but not like in their like the romantic way.
Oh, you don't think so?
Not yet. I don't think so. At least I don't see it yet. I mean, like just like the way like Gwen and like Emma Stone Gwen and Andrew Gwen talk to each other kind of gives me that sense and like of this. But when it comes to like relationship or like chemistry, I don't know. I don't know.
Get you a couple that looks at each other. Forget Tom and Zendaya. Get you a Gwen and Peter from the Amazing Spider-Man. When he's cheesing, and he's like, oh, like he's so cool. He's so cool. I'm sorry. She's good. She's good. She's good. She's good. Let's see.
That's a good one too. The Spectacular Spider-Man, Gwen and Peter. Yeah, I do that.
All right. Oh, skip the comment.
Just me. Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that in my thing too about the whole her with Pearl thing was why I was saying like the non-romantically part. It's like they're just like cool with each other. But
That's fair.
Who knows? It could lead into more. It probably will. They're hinting at it a tiny bit with Pete not getting what the girl he wanted and she not getting the girl she wanted. So see where it goes from there, you know?
That's fair. Okay.
Pete's just like me for real though.
yeah.
Dude gets partnered with his crush's freaking boyfriend. That's wild. That's down bad territory.
Sorry, bro. We'll just wait for Peter to be sitting in his room and Moreland shows up in the back. Just opens the door. That's what he needs to get. Then he's really liking us. Then we get a Moreland.
Moreland hasn't taken me out yet. But actually,
that'd be kind of cool.
You know what I've realized? Ever since that Moreland episode, Moreland has been the universe trying to take me out those 3 times in November.
100%. That's what I would say. You just
I was like, oh
my
know. God. Yeah, I didn't know. It was Moreland all along. But I forgot to answer this from Dylan earlier.
Yes.
I'm okay with it. They did we've seen it before with Doc Ock as a female and Into the Spider-Verse. And in Cape Crusader, Batman Cape Crusader, they had Penguin. Yeah, wait, why did I just say Penguin? Oh yeah, no, no.
No, it is Penguin.
It
Yeah.
was Penguin. It was Penguin. My brain just immediately thought of the Penguin TV show, and I was like, "Wait, where am I going with that comment now?"
Oh,
But yeah, no, the Penguin was tender swapped in Cape Crusader.
yeah.
So it's completely okay, I think. I think it'll
Here's
be interesting to see.
here's my thing. I'm not going to be one like people you see on the internet, and I think we're pretty neutral here at the Point Through podcast. The real thought for a second, if a character is gender swapped, like we went through this with like when Fantastic Four and Silver Surfer and all that kind of stuff. Like if the story's good, I don't care. So for me, I have to wait and see because if the character and you swap and it doesn't add anything, but the show itself is really incorporating a lot of callbacks to certain comic moments and characters and tying in the MCU, that's where I'm kind of like, what's the point of doing the swaps? What's the point? I get adding some new things. I get calling back on some old things. I get tying into some other things that people are fans of. Fine. But at the end of the day, when you blend all that up and you go back and you look at these characters and you're like, Connor's kind of sucked. Am I going to blame it because it was a female versus a male or anything like that? No, it's just probably poorly written. So at the end of the day, I mean, what's Connor's really going to do overall? I don't know. I can't really see a male Kirk Connors or this new Connors who's more like a Doc Ock, like in terms of profession, having that much impact, to be honest with you. So I think it's a non-issue, but it's the multiverse. It's a new story. They can do whatever they want type of thing. So I don't know. If this was like 90s revival of Spider-Man and they swapped a character for no reason, then I'd be like kind of like a WTF personally.
I would agree with that. It's a whole different universe, so like, what's the big deal? Like I said earlier about it being like an offspin of the MCU with the references
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. I think this kind of goes into play with it. But
Yeah.
I do agree if they don't do anything, I don't know exactly what they have been planned for Connors in the show either. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just gotta wait and see. That's all I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. Essentially, I'm just gonna cut it
Yeah.
short at that.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's fair. That's fair. And Nate, that might
Pro
be
comics history
that
deep
might be
dive.
reserved for Thwip Media. I don't know. It's just kidding. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it one day. Who knows? Dylan, thoughts on Peter's homemade costume? Definitely different compared to other first costumes. Spider Brando, if this is a tier rank, where would you put this? S, A, B, C. The heck is this?
It's not an S tier. And not an S tier, and it's not a the heck is this? I'd say it's a B. Right in the middle of the pack. I don't think it's A. I don't think it's C. Like I think it's a cool suit. I would get a Funko for it if they make a Funko for it.
Probably. I think it'll look like absolute butt in live action though.
Yeah, I
I
could
can't
agree
see
with
it looking
that.
good live, but it looks pretty cool here. I would
Yeah.
go for homemade. Probably the best, one of the better of them. I just the thing about this show is there are certain things like the way that it's animated and they drew these characters and the colors that they use extremely vibrant. So when you see a color scheme like he has with like the red, it's almost like kind of like that bluish teal, like there's a little bit more green in it with kind of the white, like it looks like he's got like a hockey jersey on. Like it doesn't look terrible. Here's my only thing though. And chat, let me know if this is egregious to say because I know we have a lot of Spider-Man fans in the chat. Is this Spider-Man too cool? Is this Peter Parker too cool? Is he designed too cool?
That's another quick thought when I was bringing up the Amazing Spider-Man comments. He does feel too cool, but I'm that was one thing. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing in this. Like animation universe.
Yeah.
But I don't think I didn't think it was a bad thing with Andrew's Spider-Man,
Hmm.
but besides the whole skater, like, coolness, that part, I didn't like that he was, like, a skater. Like, this being, like, a nerd but cool is fine, if that makes sense.
Interesting. I don't think he's perfect. I think he's unique and interesting and different in a lot of ways.
Mm.
But he really, 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 to me, feels like a combination that you could pull back this show in the first two episodes, and it's intentional. But for Peter specifically, I think you can pull just kind of like an amalgamation of all the other Peters that came before and Miles. I get a lot of vibes with this unintentionally. Maybe it's a reach. I could be, very well could be, because I came in with this with like negative glasses on into it, and it's this conversation and watching an hour worth of the show is kind of, you know, I feel better overall, right? But it just feels like a part's been Peter Parker produced by the MCU to be like, you like this, don't you? I just can't stop saying that, and I don't think that's fair to the show, but uh, yes, Nate. Chat, curious what you think about this. I'm curious what you think. If you guys feel that this is definitely inspired by the roots in the comics of kind of who Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were, or does this feel more like a partsman combination of recent Spider-Man in animation and live action? What do you guys think? Or maybe it's all the above. I don't know.
I think it's a mixture of both. As boring of an answer that is. Um, they know what's worked from the past, and they know, like, they wanted to make this like a Lee Ditko era, like, Spider-Man show. Like, you tell it just from the animation and just the way the universe is designed. But I don't know. I don't think he's perfectly done, but I think he's very, very, very good. At least I'm only an episode and a half in. If the second half of this episode could change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really read old Lee Ditko that much, so I can't exactly compare the two. But from what I have,
Mm-hmm.
like the little bits that I have read, I feel like they're similar.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, we got some Lee Ditko inspiration. Again, some Lee Ditko with some Holland mix in there. And then we have mainly in design, but personally feels much newer. Which I think is the interesting thing about this show overall, right off the bat, is of course, all of us as fans of superhero shows, mainly Spider Man, who's arguably the biggest superhero. And we should do like a comparison Batman versus Superman. Who's bigger, Batman or Superman? Or Batman or Superman? Batman or Spider Man globally? I know there's some YouTube
Oh,
channels out there that like track this, which is insane. And I feel like half of it's made up with these bars and graphs and charts that they use. But
I think Spider-Man is more
yeah,
popular globally. I think.
yeah.
I remember I saw a report for that recently. But yeah, I got no clue.
Yeah. Nate, I'm not going to disagree with it, right? Everyone has their perspective of where they're coming from, and I think the cool part about this show is it has the ability to kind of pull on a lot of strings from fans that have been fans across different mediums, which is really really interesting, and I think that's really what you want, especially in 2025, to make a successful show to appeal to a wider audience in a lot of ways, because it's not the same way like X-Men 97 pulled on nostalgia from a continuation of a series, I don't know, almost 30 years, past, but this is doing a really good job and kind of, I don't know. You know what? This is the last thing, and then whatever you want to throw in there, we can move on to Red Hulk. It's just very interesting to me how much Spider-Man we can get in a short time frame, and we can really segregate each of it and then be like, oh yeah, this is kind of brand new and fresh and all that. Like, that's said so often, especially in the last couple of years.
Yeah, when just going back to 2018, we've been blessed with Spider-Man content. It's been like crazy. I mean, I guess even 2016 with Tom's Spider-Man, but even 2014 for like 10 years, we've been kind of blessed with gradually more and
Yeah.
more Spider-Man content. It's always felt different and original in its unique way, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
For how many stories that have been done already in the comics and everything.
Yeah.
It's cool to see them all mixed together and find new ways to storytell.
And with the new Ultimate Spider-Man too. Like, it's just Spider-Man, it's crazy to think at this point they can still make everything feel super unique in the slightest way to make a huge impact for its viewers, readers, and consumers.
And that's why he's the GOAT. Oh.
There it is. There it is. All right. Well, for all of you watching live, do us a favor here. Drop in the chat the grade that you give the first 2 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Let us know. We're going to transition into a deep dive. Like we talked about in the opening, Brave New World Captain America is coming out. We here at the Point Through Podcast have been doing a lot of preparation for this movie. We are at the point now where we're going to be talking about Red Hulk. It's going to be a combination of what we've kind of read, what we've listened to, what we've seen, what we've heard, and kind of our expectations for what we think this Red Hulk's going to be, and really what we want this Red Hulk to be. Shout out to Hero Scroll. Again, he will be back. We're going to be doing a preview episode the Wednesday before Brave New World drops. So definitely tune in for that, because we're going to kind of be summing everything up and then giving our final thoughts before the movie does come out. But Spider Brando, first question for you. Go back to when you heard this movie was going to come out. When you heard that Red Hulk was going to be in Captain America Brave New World, what do you remember were like some of your initial thoughts and reactions to that news?
Who and how? Because I was like, I remember initially thinking, how the hell is Sam gonna fight a Hulk? And I didn't know much about Red Hulk besides just it was just like a Red Hulk. So I was very, very questioning how things would work out.
Yeah.
Red Hulk's an interesting character. It's very, very interesting. Dude's got that hatred in him. That absolute freaking hatred for Bruce is crazy.
Yeah, they have a really interesting dynamic. When you go back and you like think of Red Hulk throughout the comics, the association is with the Hulk. It just is. Thunderbolt Ross, daughter Betty Ross, wife and love interest of Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is Hulk. You have that whole situation and scenario going on, which I couldn't imagine actually having a scenario like that if I was Bruce, to be like, yo, my girl's dad hates me. Like, he hates me. And then there's one day where he turns into like something that's almost like what I am. And then I got to beat him down. Like, I can't. Like, what do I got to do? But it is interesting when you go back and you look at Red Hulk throughout the years of his interactions with Bruce. He gets his powers, the leader, intelligentsia, his kind of aim, right? Exactly. The other Hulk characters that we never got in 2008 that are included into the story of when he finally comes to making that switch to working with the Avengers in some runs, working against the X-Men, working with Venom, right? It's just very interesting, the cool characters that he's associated with. And again, this isn't going to be all MCU Red Hulk and our thoughts on that, but I had to pause for a second when I was going through the reading list and just kind of looking at the, through the years of, we're not getting anything like that in 2 weeks. And there hasn't really been much history to lean on in the MCU Thunderbolt Ross. And I'm not, actor change and all that kind of stuff isn't really affecting, RIP William Hurt, but what are your thoughts about what you know about Red Hulk's origin and the characters included to really not having that in Brave New World to this point? Agreed, Nate.
Oh, it was the only similarity we really have is just like President Ross and wanting to Thunderbolts, but it feels weird without him having like. I mean, from what we know so far, like a true motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels off a little bit, knowing like when I was reading and researching what everything that Marvel has done in the last couple years could have led up to what the comics did, and that's what pisses me off. Like they had a lot of storylines with Red Hulk involving like She-Hulk and they did have some with Wilson's Cap, but not primarily. They had some with Smart Hulk and regular Hulk. And I'm like, what the MCU has planted could have easily led up to this being like Red Hulk kind of being like an Avengers threat to like where we see like the new team of Avengers, but we're not getting that in this Captain America movie because we would have known that there would be more characters in this movie by now.
Yeah, agree. I went back through and I had to pull it up really quickly. It's from the 2008 to 2012 World War Hulk's run, issue 24, where it ultimately comes to a head in the Hulk's face off, and you get kind of the thoughts, stories, backgrounds, and kind of the transition from Hulk defeating Red Hulk, the motivation for why Red Hulk hates Hulk really leaning into himself of being, I am the Hulk, you're just kind of a pretender. And then you lead into Hulk being recruited by Bruce Banner and Steve Rogers to assist with the Avengers. Then he has his run-in with Iron Man and all that. But you get a lot of background. I think I posted this in the Discord. You get a lot of why. And I feel like the why is very similar to how I feel about, Doom and Reed and potentially not having that relationship started in Fantastic Four for the MCU, where it's like, what kind of character are they going to give us? Is it going to be a cool character, or is it going to, in terms of looks, or is it going to be a character that truly has backstory that's rooted in actual lore? Like, that's just all missing for me. And I couldn't stop. Like, have you ever had this where you're reading and like you just can't keep talking about yourself and like pausing to compare it to something else to be like, this is why that other thing is going to suck and this is why it's good?
That's how I feel every time I think about the Sonyverse. Every time I get caught talking about it, I'm like, wait, I need to just like just pause.
Yeah.
Actually, last night I was talking to one of my friends and he kept on asking me all these just questions, and I was in like full podcast mode and just yapping and yapping and yapping. I was like, wait, I can't let my super frustrations get the best. But yeah, otherwise I'll be exploiting some what is it? Some fire force that Red Hulk breathes out of him. Not breathes out of him, that his body emits. I am so not thinking of the right terms right now. But what is his power called?
Who knows if they're going to even call it in the MCU? Like, I
Do they
really
call it anything? Is it like?
We have some experts in the chat. What is it called? What is that heat radiation, gamma radiation? What are we talking about?
I don't know. But I do find it cool that Red Hulk is infused with gamma radiation and cosmic radiation. I learned that.
Yes.
I never knew that the cosmic part was kind of like what made him red and gave him the Human Torch fire power that
Yeah.
they pretty much said he was almost as powerful as his heat can be as powerful as a Human Torch. That's pretty cool.
Pyrokinesis. Sold. Done. Deal.
Pyrokinesis. Wow,
Deal.
that is beautiful.
Here's the thing though. The origins of the powers and what he can do, whether that be absorption to kind of make him kind of the ultimate weapon type of thing. There are other factors that go into making the Hulk, Red Hulk, really cool, and it's kind of twofold. And I just don't see this right. Yes, that's spot on, Nate, 100%.
And angry he gets, the hotter he gets.
And the question is he always angry? I don't know, but no. Think about this. You had the intelligentsia, the leader, infusing with power. You had the whole thing with Red She-Hulk and Betty, and it's such a cool story to kind of tie that lore back together from the run that I'm talking about here from 2010. But ultimately, Hulk, Bruce Banner, removes the power, basically his explosiveness that the leader puts into him to kind of be like that bomb, right? And they kind of have a little moment of like, why did you do it? You hate me, I hate you. And then there's Betty and all those types of things. And for me, that's not going to be in here, which is why I really feel and echo this from Dylan's point of, I feel like this will be a one and done character. Like Ross from the trailers, they never faked his death. Red Hulk didn't show up as kind of like, oh, who's the person, like who turned into the Red Hulk? Like we were seeing who turned into the Red Hulk, unless they're lying in the trailers. So I just find it very interesting that from what it seems like on the surface, it's going to be kind of a flat catalyst that puts him into Red Hulk stage. And whatever ties him to that is really going to be manufactured in this movie, which, by the way, has a very short, in comparison, a short run time. I think it's sub 2 hours.
Yeah, that doesn't... I don't know. They have a lot to pull off in this movie, and it's just... It doesn't get me excited for Red Hulk as much as it should.
Yeah, and going back to that, too, of, when Red Hulk does kind of show up in this run, he's like, who is, like, there is that kind of detective-esque...
He faked himself out.
That, honestly, no, but they even say it's revealed where Steve is like, Ross, like, we faked your death for a reason. And then Red Hulk takes over. It's just that missing, I think, is going to, they've already spoiled that. So that's definitely removed. But, and true follow up. And once you know it's Ross, and the history of the character really kicks in the gear there too. Right. Nate is saying Betty only shows up in the last 30 minutes. He's defeated. Put away forever, because Harrison Ford probably won't want to play him for too long. And chat is on the same wavelength, because Harrison Ford's in his 80s. How many times is he really going to come back for us? Well, I need to turn off my TV real quick. Give me 1 second.
Once you know it's Ross, the history of the character really kicks into the gear. Normally, the MCU can get away with not including the history of a character or doing a fast forward, but not this time. And I agree there, It's just like there's so many characters that we know in the MCU and like what they're capable of. They just fall flat. And it sucks because most of the times it's the villains in the movies, and goes back to the villain problem. It's gonna absolutely suck that Harrison Ford is just a one and done in this movie. But I'm more interested into seeing how they tie into Secret Invasion and the Skrulls and like President Ross, because like the president in Secret Invasion straight up declared war on the Skrulls. So like how do they just make us forget about that or tie into it? And like where's that storyline going?
You know what's funny? I remember that was one of like the first videos we edited for the Point Through podcast. Like one of the first like bigger conversations that we really got into when it comes like post Secret Invasion. Like that's not the beginning of the podcast, but we've been talking about this for what 2-3 years now.
Sad.
Of, like,
20. Yeah, that show came out like July 2023.
Yeah. Fair point, Nate. Fair point. Spider-Man, go. I think you had something to say, sir.
Oh, what my theory for Red Hulk serum? What if in the MCU it's the collected shit that they got in
The Harvest?
The Harvest. What if the Harvest and gamma radiation is what powers the Red Hulk?
I mean, you could, but remember from 08, like the leader had all that Hulk blood.
That is true.
And then some broke and he had a big head.
True. Honestly, I completely forgot about the whole 08 Hulk's time stuff for a second.
Yeah, I mean, is the chat loving it? No, chat doesn't want it. The Harvest is
nobody wants the Harvest. I'd make my own Hulk suit.
Honestly, or just take from Space Jam Michael's secret stuff and just squirt the water bottle. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. I know we haven't gotten too much into like stories and histories and all that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, chat, and those of you watching live. This is one of those difficult situations, in my opinion, to where we can talk about the history of the character, and it really probably is not going to have anything to do with the MCU version that we're getting. To be honest, I don't know if you guys feel that way. Those of you that are familiar with Red Hulk, if there's something you think that they're going to tie into that's like really core and essential to this character that they're really going to pull over from the comics, great. But if you have it to that point, I ask you, how is that possible without a Hulk character in the movie? I'm not talking about Betty, not talking about Thunderbolt Ross, not being Harrison Ford as an 80-year-old man who has all of this military history and skills and expertise, and that's kind of something that makes him who he is, and makes him so formidable. Shout out to him fighting against a juggernaut Colossus, which is wild. But what do we got? Hero, you going off in the chat, bro?
No, I thought this was funny. I'm about to will my voice to come back just to make sure that doesn't happen with the Harvest comment.
Uh-oh. Are we going off the rails here? Are we going back off the rails?
Oh my god, dude. We're always off the rails.
That's true.
I have Madison with the creation of Red Hulk. Oh my god.
Oh, Madison, a goated MCU character. And here's the other thing, like no, separate. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to stay on track here. All right, let me ask you guys this, chat. This question is for you as well. Spider-Brand, kick it off first. What is the one thing that you feel would be most beneficial that you know of from the comics that they could include into this version of Red Hulk to make him the best one-off character we may ever get? It's tough. It's a loaded question. It's a loaded, because I just don't see it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just don't see anything beyond how he looks.
Yeah, I don't see much. The only thing I could say was maybe just if they were to like have Betty in the movie and kind of have like Sam and Betty have a thing, and that be a reason why.
Oh shoot!
Why Ross hates Sam, but I don't know,
because he did great things to Betty. Because she went and never came back. But
Betty, she was in Away Hulk, right?
Oh yeah,
right.
Remember she was crying on the lawn of the school in the quad. Quad.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's a good impression,
dude. The scene in the bridge where she like sees him and she's with fake what's his face Doc Samson, who's a bum in that movie. The bridge where it's raining and then Edward Norton's out here. God, I know we made a video that's in the archives We should post that. We should post that. Hero, if you're still listening, hopefully you are. We should post that '08 Hulk watch that we did, what, last year?
That was almost
2 years ago?
Yeah, we're almost like a year and a half, 2 years ago onto that one. That was our early
That was a good
I think that was one
MC
of our
redo
early ones.
review time. That was before the redos.
Yeah. It's
All right,
crazy.
all right, all
We're
right.
coming up on 2 years this year.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the chat here, get some thoughts before we kind of round out this live stream episode. Nate, Spider-Man, you want to take this one?
Yeah. I don't think they incorporate much from his history, just make him mean and angry, and since Betty is involved, could he be mad at Sam for putting Betty in danger and the leader sees her as a target?
Ooh.
I like that. You know, we went this whole actually, you know, this isn't a cap combo. I'm not even gonna bring that fucking yapper into this. Giancarlo who?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't even want to bring him into this. Red Hulk. But like how the fuck do those people tie into how does Sidewinder tie into Red Hulk?
Well, if they didn't nerf the Intelligentsia in
Sidewinder
She-Hulk,
part of Intelligentsia?
I don't know if the Serpent Society is that involved, but they may be. I think that's more so an adamantium thing than a weapons plus serum thing. Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to do some digging on that one, but even they probably have to rack on something. So, anyways, Sam for putting Betty in danger and the leader sees her as a target. Yeah, but like, why? At the end of the day, like, why would Betty be a target out of nowhere after, a decade plus?
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's not like I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
I don't say freaking add Hulk into here, but after seeing the budget of this movie, after all those reshoots, they can't afford. They ain't paying.
But the reshoots weren't for the movie quality. They were just, they were always playing.
I actually watched a YouTube video the other day about like debunking the shoots for Captain America, and it was pretty interesting. It kind of made me feel like we've been ragging on it for a little too long, but I'm like, the proof is in the pudding of all the reshoots and all the rumors and the leaks and stuff that's been cut out. I'm like, there's no way that like it's adding up. And they're like, oh no, the reshoots weren't like reshoots. I'm like, yes, they were. But that video does make a good argument on that they're not like after the first cut, like the most recent reshoots that they've been doing over the last year. Pretty solid and not changing up too much. But the ones from like years ago, those ones are definitely gone.
Fair enough. Guys, I like these thoughts, but I can't overthink this movie. I'm going to take it just as simplistic as the plot's going to be and just kind of roll with it. So we'll talk more about the movie, though. This isn't a movie talk per se. This is more of a Red Hulk and kind of what we're thinking. But Ross being president, how does it tie into the story? We know what we know about the comics and we're missing it. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where we go with this. But everyone, I think that's a wrap. That's it. We talked about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's a high. And it went with a little low. So we got to do a little pick me up here. Spider-Brando. Give the 0.3 people one thing, three things that they have to keep doing.
Oh. You have to like, comment, and subscribe. No, I'm kidding. Also, keep watching, keep reading, and keep nerding out what we do every episode. Not every episode, but we've been slacking a little bit, can't lie.
Yes.
But what we encourage everyone to do every day of their lives is keep watching what you like to watch. Read the comics or books that you like to read. And nerding out whatever you like to nerd out about.
Yeah.
And we love when people share it with us over in our Discord. So you
In
want the
chat.
FN and
Yes.
chat and social medias.
All the above, all the above. And if you're playing rivals, keep grinding because it's just a tough road for all of us out here. It's just tough. It's just tough. No tanks. But chat, do me a favor. You guys are loyal listeners, point three people, friends of the channel. Next Wednesday in the live stream, in the comment section, let us know what you guys are watching, what you're reading, or what you're nerding out about. Because we tell you guys every week for the most part, except for the last couple weeks, but we're always wanting to give it to you guys. We want to hear what you guys are watching, reading, and nerding out about. Probably going to be similar to us, but we love some curveballs. I think that's one thing over kind of our year-end awards, meeting the creators, talking to people. That was something that was really cool. We got a lot of exposure to things. So we love you guys. We love what you're into. Get us into it if we haven't been talking about it. Let us know next Wednesday, 9:10 Eastern. 9:10 Eastern. We'll be there. So until then, everyone, hit us up in Discord. Everybody always eats first over there. And we will see you in the next video.